Good evening, everyone. Thank you, of course, to all of our sustainability committee members who are joining us tonight, and thank you for those who, the public or anybody else who will be watching this later for our November 2022 sustainability meeting. So this first thing I just want to touch on is just Saturday we had our seed exchange again at the library. I'll let Bridget talk a little bit about it, but that was in conjunction with Portchester. Kiki Short, who's the chair of the sustainability committee in Portchester. I do want to just give a personal thank you and shout out to the library because they were great as they were the first time. And I do appreciate them allowing us to use that space because there is a lot of foot traffic there. So Bridget, if you just want to talk briefly about it, and I did have to step away, of course, for another event, but I'm glad that we were able to put this together.
Yeah, we were in competition with the doggy Halloween parade, which I heard was amazing, but we did get people again. I think the location is just kind of prime for getting people to be interested in it because it's right next to the bus stop. It's right next to the post office. So we get a lot of people that are like, oh, what's this? Let me stop in. It was not as busy as our fall seed or our spring seed exchange, which I expected because a lot of people don't realize that you can do seeds and plants in fall. But we gave away everything, and any excess we had went to the Portchester Middle School for their new pollinator field they're planting. So everything got used. And we had a lot of people saying that they're going to come back for the spring. And we also had people asking about, leaf mulching, which is nice. So we gave some different tutorials on that. And we also had people asking about vegetable seeds, which is pretty common because I think a lot of people want to grow their own food. So I did explain that we'd probably have a lot more vegetable seeds in the spring. We did have some last time that people brought with them. And of course, that's also eco-friendly, growing your own food and stuff. So we want to support that as well. As with the leaf mulching, one thing I did want to mention, when at the event, when I was talking with Kiki, who runs the Portchester Sustainability, she said that they recently were able to purchase leaf mulching blades for all of Portchester's equipment. So as of right now, Portchester is mulching all of their leaves throughout the town. And they were actually explaining about how they used to have to collect all the leaves, and they used to have a 30-foot tall pile of leaves that they had to try to deal with. So for them, this is a lot better, actually. And they told me that the blades were extremely inexpensive, that they also were convenient. Their crew is happy to do it because it saves them time, and they don't have to deal with that huge pile of leaves anymore. So it seems like it was a, good thing. And she also mentioned that we might want to emphasize more that it's only the professional equipment that needs those special blades. If anybody, sorry, my dog, hold on one second, let me close the door. It's only the professional equipment that needs the special blades. At-home equipment does not need a special blade. So this past weekend, I mulched some of my leaves, and I just have a regular, electric lawnmower, battery lawnmower, and it did it just fine. So there was absolutely no issue with it. I know some people get confused, oh, am I gonna have to purchase new things to do this? You really don't. If you have any kind of lawnmower, it'll work with it. So, and I think that was kind of it. We wanted for next time, we're going to do some new signage that just says in both English and Spanish, free seeds, free plants, free native seeds and free plants. That way people can know, and for all the people that are just dropping in, I don't think a lot of people understand because they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have anything to give. And we're like, no, it's fine. We always bring plenty of stuff. So we want to encourage people to stop by, even if they don't have things to give. Because we do get a lot of people that don't have any native plants yet at all, which is actually kind of the goal. And we get a lot of people that maybe just have a patio or a porch, and they want something they can put inside a container. So we get people from all walks of life trying to start this. So we want to do some really clear signage for them, just to get people that are driving by the library just to stop and park and then come by and see us. So I think in the spring it should be a pretty successful event too, once we do it again.
Perfect. Thank you, Bridget. I just want to give you both, all of you, an update on just a couple of grants we put in. So probably a couple of meetings we talked about we have the Canadian kind of food composters for food compost cycle. I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong, or probably got a little bit backwards, but again, they're the ones who we had Kazia Reginier is her name. She was presented a couple meetings ago for those compost items. So that grant to help potentially start a pilot program has been submitted. And just to talk very briefly about it, to give you all the Reader's Digest version, is after going over it with the administrator, it's the idea hopefully is to get funding to get 50 units of each of the 2 different models, and for them to come down here, do demos and how they would work. And those 100, of course, units would be distributed to residents. And as a village, we would act as a sponsor of that program as well, just so we don't run afoul of any, without selling directly to the residents. So we don't run afoul of any ethics laws, but that's been submitted. And the other grant that's been submitted, and thank you again for Bridget, I just saw the email for the signed letter, is at Rye Hills Park, which I also talked about in prior meetings. So again, just to give you, for the public as well as all of you, a quick recap, that a student from Rye Brook High School approached the village with a plan to kind of revitalize the butterfly garden that's been a little bit, needs some work, to say the least. So Bridget and I, as well as with Christina Yandetowicz, who is an amazing butterfly expert, have visited it, as well as trying to come up with some ideas in order to give it the revitalization that it needs. And so, we put in a grant to help secure some funding for some native pollinator friendly plants, as well as potentially, again, doesn't mean all this is going to happen, of course, but it would help a lot if, of course, if we don't get it, it's not the end of the world, but just to help offset some of the cost, to get some educational signage, but some stepping stones and maybe a bench. So working on as we speak, the application is due tomorrow. I just got to send over the letters of support. So Bridget, as the chairperson of this committee, issued a letter of support for the village, and so did Town Councilwoman Pamela Jaffe. She is also the liaison of the town, the chairwoman, sorry, not the liaison, for the Town of Rye Sustainability Committee, and she was nice enough to also sign off on a letter of support for the village. So that's where we are on those 2 grants. So the next thing I want to discuss, because we had some emails about this, and I've had some conversations with Debbie about it. But again, I'll let kind of Debbie, you just talk briefly about it, by the compost tour. So there wasn't really a lot of consensus in terms of a lot of the dates. In terms, we got kind of really all different answers or responses. So Debbie, I'll kind of let you take the lead from here, but based on the conversation I had with her, that because we are in November, and of course we don't want to push this too long, so I did ask her just to get a date that kind of really can accommodate a group our size. I'll let her discuss about it more, but what I will do, of course, if we do have extra space, and I'm happy to extend the invite to like our neighbor of Portchester, if the town of Rye wants to come, and potentially the city of Rye. But Debbie, is there anything else that you want to discuss regarding that?
Yeah, so at least for the people who were on the call, what happened basically is all of the times, everybody picked a different time. So maybe I gave too many choices. So given who's on here now, so basically the maximum we have is 2 people, including me, 3 people in each of the time slots, sometimes 2 people, sometimes 3 people. So if you all have your calendars and we can look for the 2 slots so that we had enough people, maybe some of you were free, but it wasn't your top choice. And that would give us, a date, and I haven't heard back from him that any of these dates have been taken since, but I'd like to say, here's our first choice and here's our second, and then we can send the invite. I didn't really want to ask them to run a tour if there's just 3 people going. So we had Monday the 14th in the morning, where Michael and Frank both said that they could go. Robin, you weren't able to go on Monday in the morning, but is that possible at all or no? Okay, and what about Bridget and Greg? Were you, because I didn't hear back from either one of you in terms of just adding you guys in.
I can do that day in the morning.
Okay, so you could do a 9 o'clock or a 9:30 start time.
Yeah, Monday the 14th, I have nothing on the calendar, so that's fine for me too.
All right, and
The whole day.
then, okay, and so yeah, that was the 9 o'clock time. Unfortunately, Stephanie, the only time she chose was Monday afternoon, which nobody else said yes to. And then the other time would have been the Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Michael, you said 9, but not 9:30 as a start time. And Robin and Alan, you said both of you could come on Wednesday at 9 or at 9:30. So the question is there anybody, like Frank, is it possible that you could do, and Bridget and Greg, can you do Wednesday at 9 a.m.?
I can.
Yeah, I could do that too.
You
The
can.
16th, November 16th.
November 16th at 9 o'clock. Michael, was 9:30 out of the question, that it had to be at 9 on that day?
I don't recall. Yeah, no, 9:30 is fine. I'm not,
Okay.
yeah, 9:30 is fine.
Okay, only because they said it's probably better to start at 9:30,
Okay,
but I didn't, people have other work issues and, all right, so Bridget and Greg and Frank all can do the 16th at 9:30. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct to my end.
Got that right, and Frank. All right, so then I'm gonna go with 9:30 on the 16th, because then all of us on the call can do that, right? Did I get it, all of us? Robin is yes, Michael's yes, Frank, okay. So
And
at
it
that
was
point, there's
through-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us, and then we can extend the invite more broadly once we confirm the date. But I
Debbie,
didn't want to,
was it okay if my husband Alan also came?
as far as I'm concerned, yes, unless, our committee chair or our liaison have any other opinion.
I am totally
yeah,
fine with
more the
my
merrier.
whoever wants to come.
They can take, like they said, you really don't want to go above 25 people because it's interactive. And I was like, if we could get 25 people, that would be great.
It doesn't seem like we're close.
Right. So I just didn't want to go in with 3, so mark down on your calendars Wednesday at 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
And, if, and I will confirm, and, and if for some reason that's no longer available for them, then we'll come back and we'll do it again, but that would be great. And then we can certainly reach out to other trustees, the village manager, if we want to, if they would like to come, Portchester, Rye Town, if anybody from Rye Town wants to join us. And Greg, if you don't mind, we have some sustainable people in Harrison that we work with as well. So if we have room and it's okay with you, we would extend the invite to them as well. All right, so I will get back to you and I will confirm that on their end, they're still good for Wednesday, the 16th at 9:30.
Thank you.
It should be fun.
Thanks, Deborah.
What's that? I didn't hear you, Bridget.
I said, thank you for doing that. I'm sure it'll be great to finally get a tour of that. No, we've been wanting to do something like that for a while, so.
Yeah, no, I think it should be fun. So it'll be fun to do it together, and it will,
Would they let us video any of that to maybe post it on our website?
I don't see why not. Certainly pictures, and sure, I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, it's an educational facility for them to educate, right? The public and the municipalities and everybody. So if we want to do something that helps them publicize this and composting, I can, see why that would be a problem, but we can.
Well, we'll
certainly check.
ask. We'll
Yeah,
ask.
absolutely. I can check.
And they
thank
asked
you.
us to budget like 2 hours for that, Deborah?
No, they said an hour or 45 minutes, an hour, but
Oh,
if we
okay.
wanted questions and, it's going to take people time to get up there, not that long, but, so, I think they'll give us the time. It didn't sound to me like, they were going to kick us out in 45 minutes. But, we want to be conscious of everybody's workday time as well for those who are working. And so we probably just want to be conscious and not spread it out to 2 hours so that people don't feel awkward that they can't leave when they need to.
Perfect. Again, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
I
That's great.
appreciate your efforts and helping, because I know it's always a headache when you're trying to make arrangements for a very large group. So thank you for helping to resolve this. Just real quick, I just thought of this now that we're talking this topic. So something that I just literally remembered off the top of my head like 5 seconds ago. So I did send out an email to the whole group regarding Con Ed light bulbs. So the program is still open as of now, to my understanding. So just to give you like all, and this is again only open to you guys as committee members. So it was extended to all the committees, the trustees, village employees. So Con Ed just issued a program for you got to be a Con Ed customer. So unfortunately, if you're NYSEG, it doesn't apply. But for those of you who are Con Ed, you can get a pack of light bulbs or LED light bulbs too, of course, which are better and last longer. Typically, they cost around 50, 60 bucks. You get them for $5. So if that's something that any of you are interested in, please send me an email because I have an Excel sheet where I'm assigning everyone individual code because you all get a unique code that you put in that will give you the discounted price. And I'll send you the link as well. So if anyone's interested, again, please shoot me an email.
Great,
Okay,
thank you.
and the next thing I just want to talk about, I'll let Bridget, because I know Bridget wanted to sign, so tree mulching. Is that
Oh,
right?
okay. You want me to start with tree mulching?
Yes, whatever you want to discuss about that.
Sure. So one idea that I also got at the seed event from Portchester Sustainability, they are doing a Christmas tree mulching event. I believe they do the same sort of curbside pickup that we offer as well, but they have done now, this is the second year, I believe, where they have it at one of the parks and they hold an actual event where people can bring their trees and get them mulched like in person. I don't know if it's just like people like it because they like get to see it happening, or if they have the people like dress up like Santa or so. I don't know what happens, but anyways, they do that, and that was like a big deal last time. They had a lot of people participate in that. So I don't know if we would want to consider maybe doing, an event like that for people to be able to drop off the trees. I assume we own the tree mulcher. I don't know what the details are with that and like the leaf vacuum thing, but I also did actually ask them, speaking of leaves, I did ask them about their leaf vacuum and I think they sold theirs, which is nice because they're not using it anymore since they're doing the mulching. But yeah, I think they own their mulcher for the trees. So they just put it at one of the parks and like have an employee do it. So that might be something that we could do as an event and like give out information on other things like composting and stuff as well. Like maybe we could do a few other things with it that are like holiday related, like some sort of recycling for like, I was thinking Christmas lights too, because I know that there's a place in Mom's Organic Market in Dobbs Ferry does Christmas light recycling. I was going to try to reach out to them to see if we could collect some and like bring it to them. And if they would be willing to do that because they do a big event each year where they collect those lights. I just don't want to overwhelm them with like too much if we get a ton of it. So I want to find out about that. So maybe we could collect like multiple things along those lines that are like hard to recycle from the holidays and see if people want to do that.
Can I ask a question about the leaf mulching if you do an event? So for homeowners who are used to putting, or residents who are used to putting their trees outside and the village just comes and picks them up, it's more work for them, right? To put it back on their car and bring it over to a location. But is there the opportunity to get mulch out of that? Like
That
where they
would be
can
an
bring
interesting
mulch
thing, yeah.
home?
That's what I would think is like, I'm assuming from what I've seen them do mulch, it like kind of comes right out of the thing. Like it happens instantly. So I would assume you could probably make that happen. Like it would go into a pile and people could bring like their own bucket and get their own mulch.
Right.
So maybe that would be the appeal in people bringing it there is, hey, if you bring your tree, you can actually keep the mulch from your own tree, and put it out in your garden or whatever. So I can find that out and like see how they've been doing it, try to get some more details to see, what might be most effective. But I'll find out about that.
And is there any reason why people would not want to put, I mean, I know people generally do that in the spring, right, when they're doing their garden beds, but it seems like it couldn't hurt to do it in the middle of winter and just have it down already and,
No, yeah, and a lot of times in December, sometimes there's no snow on the ground anyways,
Right.
it's like you could easily just put it out,
just put it
make
out.
things look nice, even though there's nothing there really. Yeah, I mean, people always love free stuff. So anytime something's free, they're like, hey, I'll take it, even if it doesn't, necessarily fit with that season. So I don't see any harm in it. And people are always asking, sometimes people even get mad that they're like, well, why don't I get to keep my mulch? Like, why are you taking my mulch? I've had people say that Because they're like, well, aren't they supposed to give us back? Like if we leave the food scraps, aren't we supposed to get that back? It's like, yes, you can, but it also goes to everybody else too. So a lot of people, they do actually want their mulch and like their compost back. So it's interesting. So maybe they would appreciate that, the gardeners at least.
That just seems to be like an incentive to get people to come over is, bring your tree, we'll mulch it for you and take it back. You don't have to buy mulch this spring, or you'll get started on your gardening for the spring, or.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll see if they do anything else with it. But that was just a thought, and we could even just do maybe it's done at Village Hall. Like maybe that's where we host it, and we do the lights and the other things at the same time there, because that'd probably be the easiest place to do it, I would imagine. But I guess we can just see if it's doable at all, because I don't know if we actually do the mulching ourselves or if they hire someone. So I haven't like physically seen them do it. I just leave it outside. So I haven't like watched them come up to mulch the trees to see who is doing it out there.
We'll talk about it. I'll speak about it with our administrator as well. But again, once you get more details, Bridget, as well, how this event was done, and the place you're referring to, then again, I'll definitely follow up with you as well to see if it's doable.
Great. Do you want me to speak about the community cleanup day, or did you want to?
I mean, I'll just start off on it, and then again, I'll let you again, because I have never done it before. So, but yes, so the town again reached out to Bridget and as myself regarding doing a fall community cleanup day in November. So the date hasn't been officially finalized yet, but the one that we're trying to that I think works for all of us in terms of Port Chester and Rye Brook is November 20th. I know I'm just speaking with our DPW workers, is that's the best date that works best for them. So that's the likely date if it ends up happening, and I don't want to say 100% for sure because it's been 100% confirmed. That's the date that we will be doing it. But then I'll let Bridget fill in how it typically works, because I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure since I've never done it before. So Bridget, feel free.
Yeah, so we're supposed to be having some sort of Zoom meeting about this in the next few days, where we'll go over more details.
Yes.
But typically, as you know, in the past, we've either done planting events or we've done the road right next to Rye Ridge Shopping Center, because that's always got trash all over it. When I drive by now, since I live right by there, I see the trash all the time. There's like tons of trash out there right now. So I was like, yes, that'll be a great one to do. It's easy to organize on like a short, with not too much notice. But hopefully, I know in the past we've been able to get a lot of like high school volunteers that need community service hours. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again. And there's been some people we've notified, that building that's nearby, the really big office building. I don't know what the name of it is, the big white one. the
Yeah,
giant
800 Westchester.
So we've notified them, and they've sent people to also volunteer, because I think they send it out to like everyone in the building, and so people will come and volunteer that day as well. And we usually get, like several 100 pounds of trash. Like it's a lot, so because they weigh it afterwards, and people throw like crazy things out there. So I think it's time for it, since I think we skipped it last time to do the planting. So yeah, November 20th, we usually do it in the morning. I'm expecting that they'll want to start at around 9 a.m., 9:30, 10 is usually when they start, because it's in collaboration. So at the same time that we're doing it, they usually do it at Crawford Park, they do it in Rye, and they do it in Port Chester. So we all try to coordinate for it to happen on the same day. And then they typically have some sort of like celebration where they offer lunch for people at, I think last time it was at Colony Grill in Port Chester, that they offer to volunteers. So it's a good event that happens usually twice a year.
Sounds good. And again, if it does end up happening, of course, I will be there to help coordinate it. And if anyone is available and wants to come, of course, feel free. I think it's a great event, and I definitely, if it does end up happening, I look forward to helping to ensure that it succeeds.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, and I talked to Greg about like some of the materials we need. Usually we offer gloves, We offer the safety vests and we give recycling and trash bags. Unfortunately, it's usually mostly trash because everything's really dirty or it's like filled with dirt and stuff. So you can't really recycle too much, but sometimes you get like some bottles and cans and things along those lines that we can recycle. So
Yeah, but I also do plan on reaching out to Alex too, just to get any insight that she can give me. And as always, yeah, and even though she no longer works at Village, she's been a great support system for me and helping me get up to speed for everything. So I can't thank her enough for that.
yes, I guess once we have the date, if anyone knows of places that they want to advertise it, that's always helpful because the more people we get, you know, obviously the more trash we can clean up. And like I said, there's usually quite a lot of it. I think last time, because we had so many students, I think we had around like 30 volunteers. So yeah, we got, like I said, like hundreds of pounds. And one of the kids got to go home with a free bike that he found. So hey, if you show up, I think also a boom box. Somebody found like an old style boom box and they took that too. So whatever you find, you can keep as long as it's not dangerous. We have some story. I remember I told you guys about the voodoo like shrine that we found in the woods last time too. Yeah, that was kind of freaky, but so we find all sorts of stuff out there.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
um,
Other than that, I guess, Greg, did you want to touch on leaf blowers now, or do you want me to head into that?
yes, I just want to say a couple things before, of course, I'll let our chairperson take the lead. So again, I do want to kind of wrap this up tonight. Again, I'll send a follow-up email tomorrow morning for our members that aren't here, but on Tuesday, I want to put it an agenda as a discussion item. So it's not a public hearing, so it's literally as it says it is. So that's literally means that they're going to discuss it at the board like, officially. I've already spoken to the mayor and the trustees about it. They are eagerly excited to finally discuss it on Tuesday. And if anyone can come on Tuesday, again, just to answer any questions that they may have, you know, Bridget said she'll be there. Anyone can join her, that'd be helpful. Although where we really need you guys to come out, and I would ask that if you can, is when we have the public hearing. So as it stands right now, and things may change, but likely the board will choose to vote for a public hearing on November 22nd to be held on December 15th, the last meeting of the year. And so that's what the calendar's looking like now, although unless they choose to vote on a public hearing resolution at the meeting, which they can do, but I don't know if they will, so I'm not going to say for sure that that's what's going to happen. But just going based on a regular schedule, December 15th looks like there will be a public hearing. So if anyone can come out though for the public hearing, will be at December 15th or earlier, please do, because that's when your presence will be really important. And of course, I'll be there to help be there in support, but as the speaker or the administrator too, it's better if it comes from you guys as the committee members. So that's where we are in the process, but my idea is to get this wrapped up right now. So if anybody has any last minute or, well, again, not last minute, of course, you know, if it's tomorrow, if you want to add things, of course, it's not an issue. But if anyone has any concerns that they want to bring up, with them here. And all of us that here can give yay or nay. Hopefully, because we just get to a yay tonight, and then I will send it out for the rest of the group. Again, it doesn't have to be unanimous, because again, I'm sure I don't expect 10 of you to agree on every single detail, though of course that'd be great if you did. And then we'll take it from there. So then Bridget, I'll let you take the lead from here.
Yeah, so I think you pretty much covered it all. If anybody wants to show up, like Greg said, next Tuesday at 7. So the meeting starts at 7 p.m., but Greg was telling me that they probably won't actually get to the leaf thing until about 7:30. So I was planning to show up at around 7:20, 7:30.
Let me fix that. So 7 o'clock in executive session, 7:30 is when the meeting starts.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that we not do it early, but we probably won't get to it until later, because again, the discussion item comes after we take care of all the resolutions on the agenda. So again, you don't have to be there for 7:30. You can
Okay, perfect.
exactly, so it's not the end of the world. So yeah, and for those, if you can make it, and if you're on a bit of a schedule, again, that way you don't have to rush to get there. But yes, that's what discussion item comes after the agenda for the night is completed.
Okay, yeah, so I'll be there. It's in the evening, of course. So if anybody else wants to join, more than welcome. Would love to have you there. And then of course the next ones. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, other than I think everybody's gone through what we talked about the last two meetings with the leave. So I don't know if Greg, you said you wanted to do a vote at the meeting right now or via email.
But yeah, I'll do a poll for all the members that aren't here, but for the ones that aren't, just send it out. And again, for us, it's very simple because we're not subject to open meetings law. I can just literally go one by one and say yay, nay, thumbs up, thumbs down. And that's pretty much all we have to do. So, but Bridget, can you just give, any of you have Lana here, can you just give a general overview just for
Oh, sure.
refresh all of us who are here, first for Lana, as well as for the public, just exactly what we've kind of comprised.
Sure. So we are putting forward a suggestion to the village board to effectively ban leaf blowers, both electric and gas, during certain times of the year. So these are the times of the year when really most leaves aren't falling. This is to avoid landscapers, for the most part, using leaf blowers, which can emit a lot of toxic fumes, a lot of noise that disturbs, the wildlife, also people who are working. And it's to basically eliminate that from happening during the times when there's not a lot of leaves, so that they're not using them to kind of blow around like grass clippings, dirt, stuff like that they really don't need to use it for, that they could just use like a broom or something else. So that's what we're hoping to do. And there's a lot of other places around Westchester that have passed similar legislation. So we're not trying to do anything crazy. We're sort of just mimicking what places like Rye, Mamaroneck, some other areas around Westchester have already done and what has been effective. Okay.
You'll just send us an email also the final, because I know there were some changes versus the last, based on the last few discussions, and I'm not sure if we ever got the kind of edited version or final version that we're going to submit to the board for discussion at the next meeting. Do we have?
Yeah, I can double check that and send it out again. When Greg does the vote, I'll send it to him too, and then he can include it for people when they vote too.
Okay. Thank you.
But what we have now, does anybody have, before I just ask you one by one what you want to do? And again, don't feel pressured to say yes or no anyway. Again, this is very informal, so this is not like we have to start from zero if some of you guys have concerns. But again, before we do that, does anybody else have any things that they want to address regarding this, or any ideas they want to bring forward?
What were the final dates of the ban? Are we doing Memorial Day to Labor Day, or?
Let me take a look. Hold on one second. Okay. We have May 1st. Okay, so leaf blowers, both gas and electric, shall not be used in the city between May 1st and September 30th.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or anything you want to bring up, or any other different points? Okay, so then I'm going to go based on the order I see on my screen. You just say yay, nay, yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down, and however you want to do it. So Robin, you're first up, so I'm going to see you. So okay.
Yes.
All right, Michael, I see you next. Frank?
Yeah.
Bridget?
Yes.
Debbie?
Yes, but I would like to see the final draft to just see what we what finally got into the final thing, but I'm sure it will be a yes.
Okay. Did I miss anybody? No, I think I called all you to the call. Okay. All right, so that sounds good to me. In terms of, again, like I said, for those who cannot be here tonight, I will ask them to give yes or no. And Bridget, when you have the final copy, we'll just send that. That way we all can just look exactly what the final draft is. And once I have that, I will So email it to the trustees, and I want to send it over to our administrator too.
Perfect. Will do. I think
yeah,
I'll try to get
yeah.
that out tonight too, because I have it here anyway, so I can just send it to you tonight, Greg.
Sounds good, yeah. And again, it's like, this is not a rigid thing, and because, I mean, that's the benefit of not being subject to the open meetings law, that pretty much we kind of can make up the rules as we go along to a large extent. But even after tonight, even though again, you guys all said yes, if there's any concerns that you have before the end of the day tomorrow, because tomorrow, as I have to have the agenda ready, not just for discussion item, but for all the items that go on here. For Tuesday, of course, feel free to send me an email, and then of course, I'll be happy to take a look.
Great, thank you.
But again, I don't have anything else. If there's anything else that anybody wants to bring up or discuss, and I will just ask Debbie, if she can't make it, I completely understand.
Right. I haven't heard from Nancy, so my guess is that she's still at the meeting. There's a meeting that they were doing against hate. I'm trying to think of the words, but the Portchester, it's taking place in Portchester, and they have the Anti-Defamation League there speaking. So it's actually very valuable. I'm sorry I had to leave, but there is legislation that the Board of Legislators is working on called Upon Request that is working toward takeout food service establishments not providing automatically forks and spoons and salt and pepper and ketchup and all those different kinds of things, but actually shifting the burdens that if you don't ask for it, you won't get it. And if you ask for it, so she can give more information of that, but there is draft legislation in place, and it's actually really exciting. And we feel that, you know, it will be cost saving for the businesses who aren't just giving all this stuff out that people don't need because they have to pay for all of that. And obviously better for the environment because a lot of this stuff ends up getting wasted and just going right into the garbage because people get all kinds of stuff that they don't need. So I know personally, I've got piles of it in my home. When I get things in a certain point in time, you know, I have so many plastic forks that I actually wash and reuse when I use disposable stuff also. So, you know, I end up throwing things away as well, or you just don't need extra packets of soy sauce or ketchup or whatever it is. So she can go into much more detail, but, you know, certainly I think from a committee point of view, it would be legislation that I think everybody would be excited about, you know, and advocate for, as opposed to, you know, the opposite. So hopefully she'll be able to come to our next meeting and give us a little bit more information. And then Greg, can you just confirm, I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear the date, but the date where you think that we might have the public hearing on the leaf blower, was that on a Thursday night or on a Tuesday night? Because
It would be a Tuesday night.
Because I thought you said the 15th, and I saw that that's a Thursday, so that's why I was confused.
It
So
could be-
December 13th.
Yeah, the third. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the.
Okay, that's okay. That was, it might have just been my hearing, but I just wanted to confirm. So Tuesday, December 13th is when we think there will be potentially there will be a public hearing on the leaf blower legislation.
Yes, if the schedule as is now, because again,
Right.
Tuesday we'll
Okay.
discuss it. And the next meeting, they can vote to hold a public hearing, and by
Right.
state law, they would have to have at least 10 days notice to the public before you have one. And of course, I send out the notifications to our Westmore newspaper. And they publish in the paper as part of the requirements. And then at the public hearing, anyone can speak from anywhere, so you don't have to live in Rye Brook. Again, as to my understanding in the past, that we've had landscapers come from all over the place. But Bridget and I, as well as the mayor, deputy mayor, and the village administrator respectively, we did have a meeting with their association. So I think I'm pretty confident I could say this, that we won't have that again, because I wanted to have that meeting with them to avoid that from happening. And when we do get the final piece, I do want to send it over to the two gentlemen, Bridget, that we met with, so that way they have it in advance, so there's no surprises. I reached out to all the HOAs, just so you guys are all aware, and I got a hold of somebody. They really, to be honest, didn't follow up. Only I think the arbors did. They spoke to their landscaper, but he said that he was going to some conference in Kentucky and to learn, see if there were any electric leaf blower vendors. out there. But again, I just haven't heard back from him. I'll be happy to call him again to see if he has anything else he wants to contribute. But I think that other than that, we're pretty good to go.
Great, thank you. I think that was all that was on our agenda for tonight then.
Yeah, unless anybody, again, so again, this is very informal, so if anybody wants to discuss anything or any concerns anybody has, Ian, please feel free.
You can always email as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, I'll send out this updated version and you can always email that way too.
Okay, well, I think that's about does it then. Again, thank you to all of you who, of course, for coming and spending your evening discussing all these important matters. And thank you, Lana, for our Blind Brook Roots and Shoots Club president, for joining us. And again, feel free to continue joining us at any future meetings, and feel free to come to any of the future events. Again, you're always welcome. But thank you to the public who will be tuning into this later, and have a good night.
Yes, thank you, Lana. Good night, everyone.